Morning, everyone. It's Joe Waxman, and I'm back with another video. This morning, I would like to look at the chart of actor Keanu Reeves. He needs little to no introduction. I'm sure everyone knows exactly who he is. He starred in many beloved movies: The Matrix, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, John Wick. All around really good guy. I mean, I learned a lot about him. He's had a difficult life. Let me share my screen. Well, I mean, I guess that's relative, but I know one thing: he had a child that was stillborn, and then he broke up with that girlfriend, and then she died. Anyway, he's you know, you hear a lot about him. He's a great guy. He's very compassionate, very caring, very, noble, humble, philanthropic, gave away a lot of money. I think he gave away like over $100 million to charities. And, he's a modest, humble guy. So let's look at it. All right. Huge stellium in Virgo with Sun, Cazimi, Mercury. So Cazimi means, here you can zoom in on here. So within 17 minutes of the sun, when a planet is within 17 minutes of the sun, it's considered Cazimi. And Cazimi planets are considered super powerful. Like if a planet is close to the sun within 15 degrees, it's considered combust, and that's considered not so good for the planet. The sun can benefit by taking on the energies of that planet, but the planet itself is kind of burnt by the sun, if you will, and becomes irritated. But something special happens when it's completely conjunct the sun within 17 minutes. It becomes superpowered by the sun. It becomes completely consumed by the sun, and they just kind of unite. There's no irritation, it seems. It's just completely unified thing, and the planet becomes superpowered. And not only that, his Mercury is exalted in Virgo, and it's in, I mean, the ideal position for Mercury is conjunct the ascendant, but it's within 5 degrees. So that is super close to the ascendant. So extremely powerful Mercury here. And Sun does great conjunct the ascendant, especially for anyone in star position. On the angles generally, like especially like ascendant, descendant, MC, the Sun will do fantastic. Even the IC, although it would be more homebound and more like out of the spotlight, it's still good for career, for that would be good for building things like a real estate empire or something like that. All right, and Uranus is here too, conjunct the sun and Pluto. And so just one at a time, Uranus conjunct Mercury is fantastic for brilliance. Like it activates the mind, makes the mind like go really fast, and like you just get like insights and very independent, unique thinking, out of the box, just radical Uranian thinking. And I have Uranus conjunct the ascendant. It creates a need to be different, to be independent, brilliant insights. The guy's really super intelligent, I'm telling you. And he has this 1960s conjunction of Pluto and Uranus right on the ascendant. This is iconic, totally iconic. It's the Kurt Cobain signature with the Uranus Pluto conjunct ascendant in Virgo. Who else has that? The singer of Smashing Pumpkins. Can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But you guys know who I'm talking about. Smashing Pumpkins guy, bald head. Despite all my rage, I'm just a rat in a cage. Anyway, This is super powerful, super iconic. Anything conjunct the angles, especially the ascendant, is like super powered. This is tremendous conjunction in Virgo, conjunct the ascendant. Yeah, it's in the 12th house, technically by quadrant, but it's so close. It's heavily influencing the ascendant. And we can see that. I mean, he's not deep in his 12th house. He's like a little bit in his 12th house. And that's why he likes his solitude. That's why he's not overly egotistical. Virgo itself is not an overly egotistical sign because it has Leo in the 12th house. The 12th house is hiding Leo, the egotism. So Virgo comes off very unegotistical. And with this just being slightly in the 12th house, it's subduing, it's making him more likable, if anything, really, because he's playing these superstar roles, but he's not obnoxious about his like fame or his status or his wealth or anything like that. Super humble, super chill. Like he's definitely one of the best people, you know, in Hollywood. Like he handles it, you know, tremendously well. One of the best. Moon in Cancer, excellent position in the 11th house. It's in domicile. It's conjunct Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus conjunct is great for passion, and you see this in artists all the time. Super passionate, music, arts, and he did form a band. They're not well known, but I think it's called Dog Star, and he plays the bass. So he's also a musician. And in the 11th house is fantastic for like having a cult-like following, for people, groupies loving you, because this is the house of groups and networks. So you become really super popular within certain groups when you have a 11th house, a strong 11th house. And the moon being in Cancer really makes this house very strong. Even though Mars is debilitated here, because the moon is in domicile, it's giving strength to the Mars. And that's helping this conjunction a lot, this Mars-Venus in Cancer. There's in Vedic astrology, there's debility, negation, basically. It's called Nichbang Raj Yoga, or Nichbang Yoga. I think it's Nichbang Raj. I'm not sure if there's a difference. Anyway, if a debilitated planet is conjunct, you know, a very strong planet, like either the sign of its own, a planet that is in domicile. There's all the different rules. I don't remember all of them, but like, or like if Mars was conjunct Saturn and Saturn was ruling an angle or a trine house, something like that. Anyway, not important, but Moon is definitely strengthening Mars here and giving him great career success, because 11th house is the house of career success, wealth, groupies, networking, like a lot of fans. When I was taking some literature classes in grad school, writing classes, there was somebody who like wrote a whole paper about how they were obsessed and in love with Keanu Reeves. So he definitely has a lot of those people out there who just like worship him. That's very much 11th house kind of thing. The 7th house would be the masses, and 11th house would be more like select groups, right? Groups revolving around a theme, but still very, all the, you know, air houses all have that quality, similar. So what else? Well, Jupiter is in Taurus in the 9th house, and that's great for his belief system. I mean, he like he leans, I don't think he's any specific religion, at least as far as I know, but he leans towards Buddhism. He just has a very natural, Jupiter in Taurus just loves nature. They love practical philosophy. They're just good natured because Taurus is so sensual and abundant within itself. And Jupiter represents expansion and abundance. So this is a very jovial, jolly, grounded, practical Jupiter that believes in all the good things in life. It's conjunct Algol, the most malefic star in the sky, in the night sky, if you know about that. My Mercury is actually exactly conjunct here as well. I know about Algol. And that's actually a pretty good place for Mercury, because if you know the, yeah, I'm talking about myself when, all right, never mind that. We're talking about, anyway, Perseus slays Medusa. This is Medusa's head. Perseus slays Medusa with the help of Hermes and Pallas Athena. Hermes is Mercury, so that's what I was getting at. But so Jupiter here, any planet that's conjunct Algol has to be careful of alcohol and drugs and indulgences of the lower body. It's a scorpionic planet, basically. It has a lot of Scorpio qualities where you just want to avoid the lower heavy desires, because you don't want Medusa seducing you and turning you into stone, which is kind of what it represents. You know, Medusa was a pretty maiden in Pallas Athena's temple. You know, she was like an initiate. She was a helper, a religious initiate, and she was seduced by Neptune, and that was sacrilege. You can't be having sex, even if it's a god's fault, in, you know, a temple, a holy temple, Pallas's temple. And even though, you know, Neptune seduced her supposedly in one of the stories, another one was that it was willing, but either way, you can't fault the god, because the gods are not human. You know, it's only the human's fault. An analogy of that is you know, fornicating in a temple, or getting drunk in a temple, or doing drugs in a temple, either way, because that's what being seduced by Neptune represents. Neptune represents drugs, alcohol, sex, things like that, right? And so that's why Pallas Athena turned her into Medusa. Anyway, the symbolism carries through. Don't become seduced by the lower desires of Neptune, you know, the drugs, sex, and alcohol. And if you're not seduced by them, then you can be like Perseus, cutting off Medusa's head. Half her head is poison, half the other half is medicine. Then you have the power to wield Medusa's head, which is a great power. Algol can be a source of tremendous creativity and power if you cannot be seduced by it. That's the thing, it's front and back. So Algol is not an evil star, unless I've also heard the other side, where people do become very addicted to drugs and alcohol when their planets conjunct Algol, and they become holy terrors, like really the worst people that you would ever want to meet. And that, in that case, it becomes the most malefic star in the sky. They're being seduced by Medusa, and they become, you know, gorgons themselves. They become Medusa like themselves. Anyway, Jupiter in Taurus is great for in the ninth house. Like, this is very optimistic, very well nourished Jupiter, full of abundance, full of materialism, great appetite. Yeah, I mean, there could be a tendency towards a little bit more. It's a lower-minded Jupiter. It's not like you know, a Sagittarian or Piscean Jupiter, but still, I think Taurus gives good benefit to Jupiter, and very practical, nature-loving philosophy. What else? So Chiron is in Pisces, so is Saturn, and so is Vesta, but I don't really have much to say about Vesta here. But this is giving him a lot of empathy and compassion and care, because not only is it Pisces, it's in the seventh house of others. Chiron brings a lot of empathy and healing ability and compassion for the underdog. One thing Chiron in the seventh house can do is attract people who are wounded and weak. And if you're not evolved enough, it's like, you know, if he was to attract a Chironic girlfriend, that could mean somebody who is, you know, themselves not very evolved, you know, drugs, alcohol, codependency, kind of a weak person who could drag him down. I don't know that that was the case with his first girlfriend who died. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But in any case, he can attract weak people. This is also means he can heal people, because if Chiron's in the seventh, then weak people are coming to him. Chiron's the healer. He can be a healer for others. and Saturn in Pisces also has similar indications in that Pisces is so compassionate, so caring, so artistic, so creative, so spiritual. And Saturn here, although Saturn always creates limitations, and it's more in the sixth house, but Saturn will create a lot of wisdom and maturity and mastery in time over Piscean things, which are, again, the compassion, the wisdom, the self-sacrifice, the love, the creativity, all the Piscean things. Saturn in the sixth house is not bad because it makes you work really hard, and it makes you just keep your head down and your nose to the grindstone, I guess, as they say. It just makes you work really hard and gives you a very strong daily routine. Can indicate chronic illness. In Pisces, it would be more of the unseen kind. I don't know that he has any illness at all, but it potentially could indicate that or create that. Very compassionate guy. And look at this grand water trine between Neptune in Scorpio, Chiron in Pisces, and Moon in Cancer. I mean, the guy is very caring. He's very compassionate. He's very deep natured. He could even be into the occult. He probably appreciates astrology. And I mean, this is a kite even with this, the ascendant stellium here. So very powerful, very strong chart. What else? Okay, so South Node is in the fourth house in Sagittarius. So when he was young, he struggled with his career, actually. I mean, all of these things, boosted up his career, but South Node in the fourth house is more about being at home. And that's until age 42. And let's see, 64. So, yeah, I mean, he's over age 42, definitely, by a lot. But North Node is in the 10th house. So you have to understand his career became more successful as he got older, and it's even becoming more and more successful. Like he's way more of a success now than he was when he did like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure or like Point Break. I mean, he had his success, but I remember back in the day, everyone made fun of Keanu Reeves, and everyone thought he was just like kind of a dummy. Probably in association with his role in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But now he's got like the most respect out of everyone in Hollywood just because of how great a guy he is, how humble he is, how how much money he gives away, and how he doesn't buy into any of the Hollywood nonsense crap. He's a great guy, and everyone appreciates him, and his career is just becoming more and more successful because North Node is in the 10th house. It's in Gemini, which is a great sign for any kind of expression. Right. Yeah. So where do we see the death of his girlfriend and his son? Well, Mars is ruling the 8th house of Pisces, and it is debilitated in Cancer. So even though the moon is here, it's still a weak Mars. It's just not as weak, so there's something there. Mars and the 11th house are both elder siblings. So I don't know if there was an elder sibling issue. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other indications really. There's no bad aspects to Mars. In fact, there's not very many. Well, so Jupiter ruling the 7th has a square to Saturn, and Saturn can indicate death. So that's mild though. I mean, because it's out of sign, and Saturn's retrograde, so it's not going to be direct. It's not. Anyway. So yeah, there's some indication there. Neptune and Scorpio in the 3rd. Neptune in the 3rd, good for the creative arts. 3rd house will be good for any sort of communication. Neptune is great for movies, film, deception, delusion, fantasy, creativity, things like that. He doesn't have any stationary planets. Nothing's really out of bounds. His moon is a little out of bounds. It's about the only thing. And out of bounds moon is quite good because you can take things more to more extremes than other people. It's not as easy, especially an out of bounds moon in Cancer. It shows that his emotions are swinging widely, and he can, even though it's in Cancer, when it's good, he can actually become depressed at times, very depressed with an out of bound moon in Cancer. If it was in Taurus, probably not, but because it's in Cancer, then it's more emotional. It's very watery. So like he has a very, excuse me, good-natured heart, and generally, well, very happy, very good, nothing to complain about really, but at times he can become quite emotional and sad, but he can push his emotions to the extreme, and that's probably one of the things that makes him a great actor. And with Jupiter and Taurus in the 9th house, I mean, Algol can be a bit of a drag, but as long as he's not indulging in those excesses, this Jupiter is a happy Jupiter. It's fed by Taurus, and it's in the 9th house. It's a great house for this Jupiter. So he's very optimistic, generally very happy, and super talented. Very, very intelligent, incredibly active, bright mind. The guy's really, really smart. And sure, he has his destructive qualities with Pluto here, but it's also very powerful. And he doesn't have the same, Kurt Cobain had a lot of opposition. I think Saturn was directly opposite. It was much more difficult. Chiron here is opposite. So the pain, he really feels a lot of empathy and compassion for others. And Chiron is very painful here. So it's not like all, he's very deep feeling, very caring, compassionate, empathic, and he does probably get depressed and down and out at times, but overall, great chart, great success, and a very lovable guy. And he's just going to keep getting more and more success because the North Node's in the 10th house in Gemini. He's going to keep landing those great roles and being, a beacon for others. So there are some good guys in Hollywood. Keanu Reeves is one of them. All right, so that's it, guys. If you like this, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. If you want to read, go to my website, macroastrology.com. That's it for now. Thanks. See you soon.